Y'all see, I changed the intro for this particular episode because, baby, it's a whole remix, okay? It is going to be so good, and I am so excited for y'all to just hear what our guest has to share concerning staying at home as a mother, the life of womanhood, how she now transforms women as a beauty influencer from the inside out. This episode is going to be so much and more, so stay tuned. What is up, you all? Welcome back to another episode of the Parent Network Podcast. I am your host, Ashley Aites, and we are in season 2, y'all. We are in season 2, and it is time that y'all stop hearing just my voice and hear the voices of other women, other moms that have journeyed into motherhood in various roles. And on today's episode, we have Andrea Hunter, mom of 4, and we're just going to be talking, y'all, about motherhood, about life, and about all the things. And so without further ado, I want to welcome our guest, Andrea Hunter.
All right. Good morning, guys. She said, I am Andrea Hunter. I am the mother of 4, a nana of 2 little busybody boys. So yeah, I was a stay-at-home mom for about 9 years, and so I got a lot to say.
She has a lot to say, y'all. And so we're just going to get right into it. Andrea, just kind of talk to us about your journey of motherhood and what that has looked like for you. Any aha moments, any moments where you was like, this is not it for me. What did I do with my life?
Exactly. So yeah, I started out my parenthood journey very early. I had my first daughter who was 25 right before I turned 16 years old. And so raising her, rearing her up, we name our children number 1 through 4. So I told number 1 that she was the guinea pig, right? So I often apologize to her for allowing her to, be that guinea pig. And being that young, you begin to raise your kids in trauma. You raise them out of your trauma, out of fears of the things that happen to you and you don't want to happen to them. And then sometimes inadvertently, you project upon them the things that did happen to you. So that was definitely a thing that happened. And then I started all over again. Mighty God. I got married years later. And by the time my first was 16, I got married, and my husband had no time to waste. So I had a honeymoon baby. And the baby's just been coming ever since. And so, you know, it has been a lot. It has been a lot in just journeying with being a mom. I call motherhood just a beautiful mess. Learning that they are all different. You have to rear them different. We love them equally, but we deal with them in different ways. So that is pretty much it. It sums up a lot of what I have experienced from beginning until now, and we are still learning and growing.
That's one thing about motherhood and just parenting in general is we are constantly learning. It is one of the most challenging, beautifully crafted relationships that we would ever have. And I love your point
Mm-hmm.
where you said, we love them all the same, but we raise them differently. And I think so many
Mm-hmm.
times there's this notion that even when you have like children close in age, that you're able to raise them the same, and you're not. My sons,
Mm-mm.
they are 6 years apart. And how I was with my oldest in, my lifestyle then versus how I am with my 9-year-old and my lifestyle now is very different. And I love how you said, you tell your oldest daughter, sorry that you were the guinea pig. I often tell my son, like, you see me evolve through all of my stages. My oldest one has seen me evolve. Parenting, mothering at 19. I didn't know what I was doing, but
Yeah.
we start to learn ourselves. And so kind of just share with us, how you seen yourself parenting from your trauma and what that looked like with your relationship with your oldest.
Yeah, the parenting from traumas then with her. Oh, honey, it was a lot. So she was a I always tell my other kids, and I tell her too, like I didn't want to have any more children after I had my first. So that was a done deal. So my plan was to, get her to adulthood, marry a man that's like 35 years my senior with grown kids and never have children again, right? Just tortured me. She tortured me from the beginning. And so, but just, realizing that I was not giving her the best version of myself because I was mimicking the things that I saw um, happening with my mom and myself. And so just trying to really realize exactly what that looked like and finding a healthy version of myself and a healed version of myself. And I think a lot of times too, people fail to realize, moms, dads, is that you rear your children better when you're the best version of yourself. And so putting you first in healing and therapy and having expectations and becoming a better person is going to help you bring out the best in your children.
And that's absolutely true. It takes maturity to get to that place to understand, wait a minute, what I'm giving my child
Mm-hmm.
is something that it's probably not beneficial to them because it wasn't beneficial to me. So how do I
Mm-hmm.
rewrite this narrative? How do I change this thing? And it takes bravery and courage, honestly, to do that, y'all. And you can go back on the previous episodes where I share my story and just talk about those different ways of breaking generational cycles, because it's not just
Yes.
about, oh, I want to have money, I want to do these things. Like, those are necessities in parenting because
Mhm.
children cost.
Mhm.
But one of
Mm.
the best things that you can give them is peace. And so you
Yes.
have to be at peace. And so you said, you were parenting the way, like your mom was. Can you talk just briefly about what that looked like and a little bit of your relationship with your mom?
Yeah, definitely. So, I was raised with a bipolar mother, and coming up, because Black families definitely back in the 80s, we didn't discuss things like that. So, I was enduring some things with my mother that um, I thought were my fault. So just a little preface is that my mother worked 3 to 11:30, right? So I spent the majority of my time with my grandmother. When my grandmother died when I was 14, then me and my mother, we had to, clash our cultures together, right? Of course, we had the time over the weekends, different things, but my granny was the it. And so coming into relationship with my mother and her being sick, so she would have what they call episodes, right? And outside of bipolar disorder, she was a manic depressant, right? So just the yelling and the screaming and the cussing you out, the you I wish you were never born, calling me out of my name and fighting me, and all of the different things that I had to endure with that. She put me out, all of those different things. Um it took a while for me to, number one, understand that it was not my fault. Number two, I had to understand her condition to be able to forgive her and to be able to build my relationship with her, and ended up working out in the long run, because before she died, we were best friends. But a lot of that took the maturing in me. So just experiencing a lot of those levels of trauma, I took those into, with my daughter. So when she was not doing the things that I expected her to do, and she was not doing the things that I thought that I was showing her to do, I was like, girl, you got to go. And just allowing her to trigger the little girl in me that didn't fight back with my mom, was kind of defending myself with my kid, if that makes
Ooh,
sense.
absolutely.
So yeah.
Nobody talks about that though. Nobody I've heard it, but it's like when we think about, our inner child and, the little girls or the little boys within us, when we're
Hmm.
triggered from our own children and our response to that, you said you were defending yourself against your child because you were not able to defend yourself in your own childhood. That's a
Hmm.
whole book. We're probably gonna wait for that
Oh
to
no,
come
it
out.
is. Listen, no, I'm
Because
working on it, honey.
okay, because listen, y'all, it's a thing, especially in the African American culture, like she said, there's a
Yeah.
lot of things that are just understood in quotation marks. You just
Mhm.
deal with them. You deal with them, and then once you become an adult and you start to experience certain things in life, you don't feel equipped. You don't feel
Mhm.
ready to deal with these
Mhm.
things. Have you
Mhm.
saw any of your trauma sprinkle into now, let's say this new set of 2, 3, and 4?
Uh, not necessarily. So in the beginning, there you go, in the beginning, when I first had my second, I was having extreme separation anxiety. And so let's backtrack again to my childhood. I was molested by my mother's brother, okay, from the time that I was um 5 to like 12. Okay.
Okay.
So then when I had my second, I just had this extreme attachment to her. And it was just I couldn't explain it to the point where I had gotten sick like right after I had her. And we needed to drop her off to her godparents who are like the godmother is one of my best friends. It's my husband's cousin. The husband is his cousin, and but there was something in me that just could not release and let go to go even see about me. I'm literally sitting in these people's living room crying, boo-hooing tears because I have to leave my newborn and go check on myself. How dysfunctional. People that I chose to help me rear her, that I chose that if I die and my husband died, that they would be the ones responsible to guard her life. And I can't leave her with them for 1 to 2 hours to see about myself. Right.
Yeah.
And so that I had to realize in that moment, like, okay, so you got to get this together. And I think when I had her is when I began to do my digging and my development and my healing for the days to come. And so now, as I'm into, furthering as she got older and dealing with numbers 3 and number 4, I have been able to just really rear them freely, and it's freeing for me to be able to see how healthy my children are being brought up and how everybody loves my kids because they can tell that they are loved and they are so lovable and they give love and just all the healthy um the personality traits that they have. And now they still little baby gangsters, because they just got that natural they little baby thugs. But, in the way that I've been able to rear them, from my perspective from motherhood now. I mean, it's just so refreshing that I dealt with me, I healed, I'm still healing. And, I'm sure they can still get a better version of me, but what they have right now is in wholeness and in health, and it's beautiful.
I love that you said that what they're getting now is in wholeness and in health. And that's one of the things, especially in motherhood. Like, I'm not a dad, so I can't speak to fatherhood. I can only view
Mhm.
from the outside looking in. But I know as a mother, because we wear so many roles, and motherhood being one of
Mhm.
them, one of the most
Mhm.
beautiful, challenging roles. We wear so many roles that if we do not see about ourselves, literally see about who we are, what is going on within us, learn us,
Mhm.
because motherhood is going
Mhm.
to learn you. So we have
Yeah.
to learn us. And as we do that,
Mhm.
our children, they are able to receive something that we probably didn't even know that was in us. But through the grace of God, through healing,
Yes.
through that therapy journey, Jesus in therapy, I'm an advocate for it all day, every day, and any
Same.
other day after
Same.
that.
Mhm.
It is
Yes.
important. So, can you kind of just talk to us about what it was like to be a stay at home mom for 9 years? Mighty
Mhm.
God.
9 years. Yes, 9 years. It was a lot. And just, before we just get into it, so just connecting and piggybacking on the statement that you just made, being a stay-at-home mom is like where you talked about learning and rediscovering yourself. I think the most important part about being a stay-at-home mom is not losing yourself.
Woo.
And it's so easy to begin to lose yourself. And then I can only imagine for single moms, but even for I'm a married mom. And so you not only are you drowning under mommyhood, but you're drowning under wifehood. Okay. And so you take so much of yourself that is innately inside of you in an unselfish way, but then you give over to self neglect. And so that is, I think, a very important part. So when I had my 9-year old, we decided that I would stay home. And a lot of that, of course, was a part of trauma. You don't want your little kids to go anywhere until they can talk and, different things of that manner. So
Right.
I decided to stay home, and that was, it was going good, it was going well, but I just stopped doing the things that I love to do. And so I'm an avid reader, I'm a writer, I'm a singer, all of these things. I'm just an all around creative, and so a lot of the things that I love to do I just kind of stopped doing because I was engulfing myself and just making sure that this child was okay, that this home was okay, and engulfing myself with duties, right? Every day I wake
Duties.
up, duties. Every day I wake up, something has to be done. And if something is not done, then I'm not doing my job as a mother. And so, I mean, I had to grow up and realize, baby, when your body is exhausted, it's exhausted. Them dishes gonna be there till you get to them. That laundry is gonna be there till you get to them. And them kids will be there when you're done taking your hour nap. Okay. Like you have to see about yourself and not having that fear of neglecting them, because obviously the end game of you neglecting yourself is going to be you neglecting your children, because you're not going to be the best version of yourself and not doing that self-care. And so for me, 9 years was a lot of losing myself, and now a lot of gaining and refining myself and coming into purposeful um relationship for myself with myself, if that makes sense. 'Cause I lost
Listen, it
that,
makes
because I
total
was,
sense.
yeah. Yeah, so that's kind of what 9 years in a nutshell, I think, just looked like for me, just losing it and finding it, and, putting all the pieces together, and learning my children, and, telling them, be vulnerable with your kids, y'all. Like, you are not a superhero, you are not a superwoman, and do not give them that expectation. And I have conversations with my children when I come home. Hey, mommy, I ask them, how was your day? We debrief about that day. Hey, mommy, how was your day? My day was exhausting. I am very tired. And if you could pray for me for A, B, C, D. Like, this is even my 4-year-old. I make him lay hands on me too. Like, I talk to them like that because I need them to have a full understanding that I'm a person too. I have emotions too. I experience sad moments and happy moments. And I'm not gonna hide those things from my children, because when we hide those things from them, then they think that it doesn't exist or that it shouldn't be that way. And then they tend to grow into that. So I give them all of me in vulnerability so that they can learn to grow and be that with themselves and be that with their children if and when they decide to have.
Ooh, you just said a mouthful there. As you can see, I'm over here getting really excited because that V word is a word that so many people run
Listen.
from. I'm not even going to relegate it to the African American community. I'm just going to say people in general. They just run from that
Mhm.
word vulnerability. And when we look at that thing in
Mhm.
parenthood, it's like
Mhm.
to have this expectation to give, number one, to give yourself this expectation that you are every woman. It's all in you. It's not. Stop that. It's
Nope,
toxic.
not at all. Mhm.
You are not every woman. You are one woman. And I teach this to the
Mhm.
ladies in my mom group that before I am a mother, I am a woman. And if I am neglectful
Period.
to the woman, then I'm going to be neglectful in the role of motherhood and of wife and of
Mhm.
businesswoman and of employer and of student and all of these
Yeah.
other roles that I play, because we
Mhm.
know that motherhood is that role that we really esteem. And so if
Yep.
I tell myself, you can just do it, just just brush it off. We go through that, if we've dealt with trauma, that brush it off, go ahead, you'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be fine. Pick up yourself and keep going. And it leads you to burnout and exhaustion. And so I love how you
Yes.
said that you share with your children. Listen, this is how I am feeling. I didn't get to that place until about 5 to 6 years ago, where I was like, "Ooh, no, I'm
Yeah.
not superwoman. I'm not super mom. I'm not super anything. I'm Ashley. Number one, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Hi. Let
Mm-hmm.
me reintroduce myself
Mm-hmm.
to my children."
Yes.
And that really
Yes.
birthed out conversations between us. I have boys, I don't have any daughters. And so
Mm-hmm.
what that looked like was, okay, you guys need to see me being vulnerable. You need to see
Yes.
me crying.
Yes.
You need to see me laying down and resting. I'll never forget
Yeah.
when my youngest son asked me, "Mom, do you cry?" And I was like, what?
What do you
Of
mean?
course I of course I cry. And he was like, "No, I don't mean
Mm-hmm.
like, when like we go to church and stuff like that. I know that." He was like, "But like, do you get sad?" And that
Mm-hmm.
sparked something in me where I was like, "Oh, yeah, I think I need to
Mm-hmm.
open up a little bit more to my sons, because I don't want them to believe that notion, that lie that boys don't cry. No, cry. I need you to cry.
Cry.
I want to see you
Yes.
crying because you're hurt,
Yes.
because you're frustrated, because you don't know
Mm-hmm.
how to handle something, so that we can walk
Mm-hmm.
through this and figure this out." And a lot of times, I know for me, I wasn't taught emotional regulation. So it was like
Exactly.
my tears were suppressed. When I started therapy, and my therapist asked me a question, I was 27. And I was
Yeah.
like, "I don't know what you talking about. What do you mean?" And she was just looking
Mm-hmm.
at me. And it wasn't even a question that she asked me. It was a statement that she said. And boom. I mean, your girl broke down. And she, in
Yeah.
therapy
Mm-hmm.
land, how there's like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that very soft, nice voice. And I'm just like, she didn't even ask me anything. What is this about? And sometimes we
Mm-hmm.
let our vulnerability scare us. But as
Yes.
parents, one of the biggest things that you can do, the biggest blessing, is to allow your children to see you be vulnerable, because it heals. Number one, it is a reparenting
Mm-hmm.
journey. That's how I started to
Mm-hmm.
see it, is a reparenting journey within me, to say, okay, it's
Mm-hmm.
okay. I don't have to be shameful of my tears. I don't have to
Mm-mm.
be ashamed of, I'm exhausted, I'm not having, a good day, whatever that looks like. And so, similar to you,
Yeah.
Andrea, when I had a long day, I would tell my boys, "Listen, I had a long day. I need 30 minutes," because my youngest son
Mm-hmm.
is very matter of fact. So I need
Mm.
30 minutes
Yeah.
to decompress. And
Yes.
once I'm done, we can talk, we can do all of the things, because baby, these children
Mm-hmm.
nowadays, mighty lamb, can
Yeah,
you
they're a
talk to
lot.
us just a little bit about your experience, if you have experience, just a little bit about mom guilt and what that has looked like for you?
Oh, totally. And that is of recent days because I have been at home with my children for 9 years. I recently decided I was going back to work. So it has been a journey. So before I started, I had been mentally preparing my kids for the transition. And so we have conversations. Hey, how you feeling? Mommy is about to be making a major transition. How do you feel about that? And my husband said my 9-year-old has a lot of audacity because she was like, "So, how much money are they paying you to be taking you away from my house?" Sis, listen, huh?
No,
Sis
she
said, "Because
didn't.
we got money." She said, Do we really need the other money? Because baby,
I love the
hollered.
kids.
I hollered. But I mean, I had to properly prepare them. And then what I realized is when I thought I was preparing them, I was really preparing myself. And so we've had the moments I'm crying. right? I'm going in their room. I just wanted to tell you thank you for being so, flexible, and people laugh at me because I have these grown up conversations with my kids out of the womb. And so they tease me, but my children have amazing vocabularies because I do that, right? And so I'm,
Yes.
I'm having this conversation with them and I'm like, thank you for being so flexible. And then I'm breaking in tears. I think the 9-year-old is the one that's taking it the hardest, because she's been with me the longest. The little two, they could take me or not. They're like, we love you, we want you here, but then they have Granny as well. So thank God, interim, my mother-in-law is taking care of my children, which is a blessing, right? And
Yes.
amazing. Wow, I am not here, but I have those days, and I have to text my pastor or text my sisters, in navigating this, like, I feel like trash because I am not with my babies. I am missing A, B, C, D, and I am not able to cook them dinner every day anymore. And I am not able to, do this and that. And then I have to stop, and Holy Spirit says, but there's the goal. There's a goal. And you're doing this for them because I am generational and legacy minded. And so not only
Yeah.
am I doing this for them, I'm doing this for my grandchildren and my great grands and all of the little ones that the Lord promised that I could hold in my hand before I leave this earth. So I remember, in all of the guilt and all of the sadness, to number one, acknowledge it, feel it, let them tears out, let the frustration out,
Yes.
talk it out if I need to talk it out with anybody, or take it to God. And sometimes those matters sometimes need conversation, and then those matters sometimes just need peace and contentment from your Father to fill that void. And so I
Yes.
navigate between which one is this? How do I need to handle this? But I don't ignore it. I don't suppress it. I let it flow. I go and talk to my kids about it. We cry together, and then we go on.
Period.
Yes.
There's the navigational lane, you all. Feel it. I want to
Mhm.
emphasize that. Feel it. Do not
Mhm.
repress, suppress, depress those
Mm-mm.
feelings. Feel them,
Mhm.
because mom guilt, parent guilt is a thing, because
Yeah.
we feel so solely responsible for everything. But if y'all
Yeah.
didn't hear nothing throughout this podcast, feel how you feel, converse with trusted people, safe
Yeah.
spaces, and then get up and move on. Because at the end of the
Mhm.
day, you have to take care of you. And as she pointed
Mhm.
out, which I loved, legacy minded, generational minded. Don't live for the now. Parenthood, it's going to matriculate. She has a
Mhm.
25-year-old, y'all. It's going to matriculate,
Mhm.
and you're going to
Mhm.
change lanes. And so if you foster that now and understand, okay, I feel it. It doesn't feel good, but I know I'm going to be okay. You going to be okay. All right, we're going to pivot
Yeah.
this conversation because we talked a lot about motherhood, parenthood. Now we want to talk about the woman. You said that you're an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, makeup
Yeah.
artist, all of these things. Talk to us about the joys of Andrea and what she loves to do.
Oh, yeah, great. So, at the height of the pandemic, was when I got the epiphany that, sis, you need to get yourself together. And so I joined a womanhood community. At the time it was called Soul and Wealth. And it later came to evolve you, my mentor D Wilford. And so she dealt with the woman in me. I will be forever grateful for that community, for what it did for me, and just reminding me of all that I am, right? And sometimes we can walk in false humility and hiding behind being a mom and things, and forgetting all that you are. And I was like, dang, I had to remember, girl, you are dope, right? I am so creative, and I have all the things, like, and even growing up coming up in the Black church or in Black families, like, how they have the saying, you can't be a jack of all trades and a master at none. No, you're a liar, because I'm multi-talented, I'm multi-purpose, I'm multi-dimensional. I can do all things. I'm called to do all things. I'm gifted to do all these things, and I'm gonna do all these things. Boom, in your face, because what you're
Period.
not going to do is play in mine. Period. Okay. And so, yeah, when I was pregnant with number 4, my husband and my best friend surprised me with a class with a makeup artist to go ahead and learn it professionally. I have been doing it all that time, just playing in people's faces and in mine. And then I wanted to just make good on the investment. So I got my LLC. I started my business, and I have been doing makeup ever since, professionally on that level. I went and I got my life coaching certificate. Naturally, I'm just that person that, you're that person people walk up to you on the bus stop and start telling you their whole life. Right. I'm a customer service rep now, and people on the phone, they literally sit and just tell me their whole lives. Like I have been prophesied to at work, like from customers, like all of these things, like everything that I am, it all comes out. So I have a shirt line that's on the hawk that we're about to re-release. So we got the life coach and we got the makeup. I'm just became certified at permanent makeup. So I'm going to be doing the eyebrow tattoos now, the micro shading. Um, yeah, amongst other things, writing, singing. We working on the books. Y'all pray hard, pray very, very hard.
We gonna pray hard.
We're gonna pray hard. We're gonna pray hard working on the books. But it is, one of the things I do want to talk about, and that is the parenthood and parent wounds that
Mm-hmm.
mommies receive from their children and navigating that. So I mean, it's a lot of things. So just learning to fall in love with who I am and accepting that I'm amazing and I'm all these things and I can be all of that unto the Lord in humility and be great at the same time.
I love that, being all of the things she said, because you're not gonna play in my face
Period.
with
Period.
all of the gifts that I have. And it is such a beautiful thing to hear. Like, I had to come out of that too. Like, oh, I have to, the world will tell you that you have to niche down. You have
Yep.
to have a niche. And if you move over into this, then all of these things. Like, no, I'm able to do all of the things. Paul said it like this, y'all. I am what I am by the grace of God. And so that is
Period.
that's the motto. We are who
Yes.
we are. We're able to do what we're called to do, literally by the grace of God. And if you dumb yourself down because
Mm-hmm.
you are worried about other people, what they'll say, what they'll think, how they'll look at you, you are walking in levels of false humility, because
And
the
you
fear of
disrespecting
man,
God.
listen, because the fear of man, it brings a snare, it brings a trap, y'all. And you'll
Mm-hmm.
forever be trapped in that. And you can honestly be trapped in the role of
Mm-hmm.
motherhood because you're too
Mm-hmm.
scared to launch out there and do and allow them to see you do. My son told me the other day, he said, I support your business, mom. I support the parent network. I
I
support
love
what you
that.
doing. And I said, you know what, baby? Thank you. Like, I appreciate
Yes.
that, because they
Yes.
need to see it. How
They
else are
gotta
they going
see
to
it.
develop courage if they don't see you moving in courage and even moving towards fear and saying, you know what? I see you, fear. I see you, hesitation. I see you. But guess what?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to move in this anyway, because God told me I can do all things because He's going to
Oh.
strengthen me to do it.
Mm-hmm. He gives us
So,
measures. Yeah.
measures of grace. We are graced to
Yeah.
do exactly what is put in our hearts to do. A lot of times, people hear the scripture, He'll give you the desires of your heart. Well, are you moving on those desires, or are you secretly, quote unquote, waiting for Him to do something for you? But I
Huh? Because you
digress.
gotta do something. Ah,
Yeah. You
I love
have to
it.
do something. Well, this has been an
Yeah.
amazing interview. If you could just leave the people with one tip, doesn't have to be about motherhood, whatever you may have, a life quote, whatever that looks like, leave the people with one tip, and then how they're able to find you on social media and in those good businesses that are prospering.
Yay, amen. Yeah, so one thing, um, and because we did talk about motherhood today, and especially stay-at-home moms, give yourself grace. We are often our toughest critic, and we don't need nobody else to tear us down because we too busy tearing us down in our head and in our hearts and in our soul. So if I can leave you with anything, give yourself grace. and put yourself first. Because if you do not, put yourself first, and that is, next to God, you of course have him at the top, but then you have to be the very next thing that you take care of and that you attend to, so that you can be the best you that God created you to be in this earth. You are a change agent, you are a world changer, and I don't care how small your world looks, there's something that you were created to do and to navigate around outside of being a mom. Okay. And then you guys can find me on Instagram at lifestyle my style. As I am a beauty and lifestyle influencer, right? So I enhance the beauty of a woman from the inside out. So that's lifestyle my style on Instagram. I think it's also the same on TikTok. I'm really trying to figure this TikTok out, y'all. I'm old and it's weighing down on me. I'm trying to figure it out. On Facebook, I am just Andrea Miller Hunter. And my website is andreabhunter.com, where you can just kind of get a general of all the things that, is Andrea. And yeah.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for taking this time out to allow me to just have conversation with you around some of the facets of life, motherhood, wife, business, all of the things. And I am going to link this information in the description so you all can find her, follow her, book her, whatever it is that you need to do. Thank you so, so much for your time
Thank you for having
today.
me.
You
Yeah,
are
thank you for having
welcome.
me.